Welcome to my channel. The manhwa name is A Prenuptial Contract. The story starts with Sunghui Woo, a young and accomplished woman who has built a successful life and career for herself with an unexpected document. It's an old arranged marriage contract that her father signed years ago. A contract that officially promises her hand to another man's son. For Sunghui, the idea of being forced into a traditional contract marriage feels like a step backward. But the moment she learned there were two copies, a bold idea took root in her mind. There had to be another copy hidden in the family estate. And if she could find it, she might have a chance to erase this obligation before it ever came into force. The next day, she was at the massive gates with the attire of a service employee. Security scanned her fake fingerprint and she entered. Inside, she found the library. She slowly scanned the files until, there it was, the other copy of the contract. That a surge of relief warmed her chest. But just as she was leaving, there he stood, tall, unbothered, draped in a soft robe that hinted at casual luxury. His expression was serene. Her heart stopped. He looked at her as if he saw right through her disguise. No sok, no confusión. She tried to shrink back, to slip past him quietly, clutching the contract like a shield. That as she tried to slip past him, he spoke calmly, explaining the uniform she wore belonged to last year's staff issue. A detail too small for most to notice, but not for him. Sensing the risk of being seen, he guided her into a nearby room. But then someone questioned her presence. He answered without hesitation, presenting her as a guest. Once the tension passed, he led her into his private closet. The space was quiet, lined with tailored suits and neatly arranged shirts. He turned away to change, giving her space, as if her comfort mattered even in this strange situation. Moments later, dressed properly, he escorted her toward the front door, choosing routes that avoided attention. The mansion that had felt intimidating before now seemed like a maze he knew by heart, one he used to ensure her safe exit. At the entrance, he paused and studied her expression. He asked, lightly but with clear interest, whether seeing him had made her reconsider the marriage. Her answer was immediate and firm. No. Nothing had changed. He smiled, unfazed. She took a taxi. As she left, he told her they would meet again soon. It was now tied to a man who seemed impossible to ignore. In the next day, during her lunchtime, a white car pulled up in front of her. He stepped out and began to walk behind her. She didn't hide her stance. She told him clearly that she had no interest in marriage, and that nothing had changed since the night before. The contract still meant nothing to her. He listened, unbothered, then calmly reminded her that he had helped her escape the mansion. If not for him, she would have been caught. With a faint smile, he asked how she planned to repay that favor. Caught off guard, she hesitated before answering. She explained that she was currently searching for an investor for her company. Once she secured funding and her business generated stable revenue, she would repay him properly. It was a logical solution. Clean. Professional. But his expression shifted slightly. He told her she had already rejected every investor who approached her, including him. Her breath caught. She stared at him, stunned, realizing for the first time that the mysterious investor she had turned down without hesitation was standing right in front of her. She had never known his identity. The revelation left her momentarily speechless. He watched her reaction with quiet amusement, as if this misunderstanding only made things more interesting. The distance she had tried so hard to maintain suddenly felt much thinner. Then one truth became clear. Their paths were no longer crossing by accident. The next day, she attended the alumni reunion with quiet determination. It was supposed to be harmless, familiar faces, polite conversations, a brief escape from work. But the atmosphere shifted quickly. Careless words brought back an accident from her past, a moment she had worked hard to bury. The humiliation hit harder than she expected. Her chest tightened, her vision blurred, and before anyone could stop her, she turned away and left the hall. She walked aimlessly until she found an empty room, far from the noise and judgment. There, she slid down against the wall, finally allowing herself to cry. The tears came fast, carrying years of frustration and hurt she rarely showed to anyone. What she didn't know was that she wasn't alone. Standing quietly behind her was Han, the man bound to her by contract. He had seen everything. He stayed silent, watching without intruding, giving her the dignity of her grief. When her sobs finally slowed and she wiped her face, forcing herself to breathe evenly, she gathered her composure. That was when she noticed him. His sudden voice startled her. Calm and steady, he told her that he didn't believe the rumors being spread about her. He said that what people whispered said more about them than about her. And then, without hesitation, he added that choosing to marry her had been the right decision. The words caught her completely off guard. She got surprised not only by what he said, but by the quiet sincerity behind it. The next day, she stepped into his office for the first time. The moment the doors opened, she felt the difference. The space was vast, polished, and unmistakably powerful. Far larger than her own office, a clear reflection of the scale of his company. She didn't let it intimidate her. After a brief exchange, she got straight to the point. She told him she wanted to sign a prenuptial agreement. Not to bind their marriage, but to delay it. She thought calmly that marriage was not something she was ready for. And the prenup would give her the time and space she needed. He listened closely, his expression calm. Then, with a faint smile, he agreed, but only under one condition. They would meet for 1 hour every day. The proposal caught her off guard. She hadn't expected him to counter so quickly, nor so confidently. It was clear then that he was not only calm and observant, he was also skilled at negotiation. After a brief pause, she considered his terms. 1 hour a day was too much, too personal, too close. Instead, she countered with a single hour per week. This time, it was his turn to reject the offer. Neither of them was willing to back down. After a moment, they began adjusting their terms, narrowing the distance inch by inch, until they finally reached a compromise point: 2 hours. Every 4 days. It wasn't ideal for either of them, which meant it was fair. They both signed the agreement, sealing the terms with mutual acceptance. With business concluded, he unexpectedly suggested they eat together. She hesitated only briefly before admitting she was craving fried chicken. The simplicity of her answer seemed to amuse him. Soon, the tense atmosphere softened as they shared a casual meal, far removed from contracts and obligations. For a moment, everything felt almost normal. Then his phone rang. He answered, his expression shifting as he listened and looked at her seriously. His sister was on her way to the office and would arrive in less than 3 minutes. There was no time to explain everything. He asked her to help him, just for a moment, and pretend they were a couple deeply in love. She froze. Before she could fully react, he gently reached for her hand. His touch was calm, deliberate, as if he had already decided what needed to be done. He pulled her closer and guided her onto his lap, positioning them face to face, close enough to feel each other's breath. Her heart raced. Their faces were inches apart, voices lowered to whispers meant only for each other. From the outside, they looked undeniably intimate. Then the door opened. His sister stepped into the office and saw a woman sitting on his lap, arms looped around his neck, clearly caught in a private moment. The woman looked startled, but he remained perfectly composed. Slowly, they stood up and greeted her. The conversation that followed was polite. His sister's sharp gaze immediately turned to her, curiosity sparking. She asked for her name, clearly intending to learn more. Before she could answer, he interrupted. He firmly refused to give any details, knowing full well that his sister would investigate the moment she had a name. His tone left no room for argument. The sister studied them both for a long moment, suspicion lingering in her eyes. Then the woman left, leaving both alone to talk and letting him with his sister. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed this manhwa. Please subscribe for more stories, and see you in the next